regardless. Today we have Shauna, your name is?
Christina.
Christina. Candace, our president, and Karen up there on the top under the umbrella. Um, we're going to dialogue a little bit and share a little bit about each other's loved ones. So we can go around the corner, around the table, and each person can share what they would like to share about their loved one. If you don't want the names to be used, you don't have to. For most people, they've already been screwed up by the system, so using the names are not going to hurt. Yours, I'd be careful. Just share a little bit about what's going on. Okay, we'll start with what's your name?
Christina.
We'll start with Christina.
Well, I have a fiance locked up and a sister locked up. Her name is Julia. My fiance is up for early release in November. Don't know how much to say about that, but my sister's in for aggravated vehicular assault. Addiction, the big reason for that.
What type of help does she need upon a release?
She's going to need help with housing, with everything, reuniting with her kids.
What county?
Wood,
What did I say?
right below Lucas.
Oh,
Harrisburg,
okay.
Rockford.
Before she gets out, like 6 months, give us a call. I know the reentry director real good in Lucas, but he does also some of the surrounding counties. He's an attorney, but
Okay.
he doesn't really practice law. No, we don't need to get into charges because I don't do that. But has you been taking the programming that she needs for judicial, or is she eligible for judicial?
No.
She's not?
No. She's got just under a year left.
Oh, so she's really on the slide. She's going to be home soon.
Yeah, she did get lucky with a light sentence, but she,
I always tell people that going home, don't tell anybody because it's jealousy.
yeah.
And that goes for your sister and your fiance. Hopefully your fiance will come home, and her husband / fiance / boyfriend, one of them. I think it's husband though. Let's go to Candace. Now you got to kind of move so people can see.
Hello, everyone.
That's her right there.
I think the main thing that I want to talk about is the wrongful convictions and how much it's happening today. My husband was wrongfully convicted of a crime that never happened. People has already come forward. I just have so much overwhelming evidence showing that he's innocent, and I know Shiloh as well does. There's just, something has to change here. And it has to change fast because, there's children that are losing their fathers, there's wives that are losing their husbands, and it's something that is going to continue to happen until we make the change. And I don't think it will ever happen unless we start to work together and be united, because there's so many people out there that has tried, to get their loved ones home, and fighting the system every single day. It's like a full-time job. I know it is for me and my family. I'm one of the lucky ones to be able to have 9 kids to support my mother. My mother-in-law and my father have the support system to be there to fight with me. But I know not everyone is not everyone has that support system. And the ones that don't, I think that, it would be great for all of us to come together and be united. For the ones that don't.
If you look at the recidivism rate, which Ohio is one of the lowest, it's under 20%. But as a nation, we're at 60%. Costa Rica, who they welcome you and shake your hand, give you a hug, and come and play cards with you. They go to the restaurant, bring back food. You go home on the weekends. Theirs is at 4%. For all crimes. And those that don't have family support, mother, wife, or whatever, those are the ones that usually do return back to Earth. They just don't have the family support. I've been telling men and also women, get 5 people on the support team of the same sex, including your mother and father, as long as they're not actors.
Right.
Because we do have a lot of old English that's locked up, and the mother might be 80 and she's still using it.
There's a lot of people that are doing the protesting, that are speaking up, bringing awareness on what's going on, and that's what everyone needs right now. But even if you don't have the loved ones, if you're not fortunate enough to have your mother, your father, your children, all of that, because I've met a lot of people that don't. There are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of advocate groups that are willing to scoop you up and take you in, and be that friend and try to help you with that fight and that journey along the way.
And I think we're open-minded to work with any group.
Definitely.
The group we sit on board, we welcome them.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to turn anybody away. It doesn't make a difference if I like them or if they like me. It's what the cause is all about.
Right.
You got 50. Well, you got under 49,000. It's 48,400 something, which it went down 2,000 in less than a year.
I think we've been very blessed. The COVID-19 is very, very scary, and but I think it is a blessing in disguise because it's brought a lot of the corruption to light. What's happening?
Right. How many deaths have we had? And they're over 100 now. Because Marion had what, 60 or
I'm
something?
not sure the exact numbers.
Yeah, I know Marion and Pickaway was the highest, and then now you got at Warren, Lebanon. I don't know so much about Warren, but Lancaster, they're complaining
Have
about
you heard
Lancaster.
anything from
Chillicothe.
Warren? Have you heard anything about that institution, like with the COVID and everything?
Very much.
Right. I haven't either, so I'm not really.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's going to get into every institution because
Right.
as long as you got staff coming in, and some staff don't take it serious about wearing masks.
Right.
The mask that the officer wears is not going to protect him. It's the mask that the other person wears. At least that's how my doctor explained it.
Right.
I know nothing about medical.
I know that when all of the COVID-19 started, and it was inside the institution where my husband was previously, I was very concerned, like everybody would be. I was like, you stay away from people, make sure you're taking vitamins. He's like, you tell me that every single time I call, quit saying vitamins. I'm just like, you gotta stay on top of it. But he actually made his own mask. He made his own mask, and one of the COs at Lebanon told him, take that fucking thing off. Like, they wouldn't even let him wear the mask. And that is so frightening because,
What is the policy on masks? Does it have to be the one that is supplied to them, or can they make their own? Because I know a lot of the masks are being made at Allen. So, like I wear my sister's. She's coming to Cleveland Indians. So I wear that. The hospital won't let me wear it in there, though. They give me one. So it's kind of different. Tyler, why don't you move over just so the camera can see you as well? Turn it a little bit towards you if you can. Oh, wow. I wish I could get one that turned by itself. So I could be a professional photographer. Share a little bit about your fiance. I know he's doing life without parole, which is really unfair, and I don't think it should be even permitted myself. And I understand there's some hideous crimes. I believe most people can change, if not all, but they have to want to in their heart. Share a little bit about your fiance. We don't care about conviction or anything. We just care about them being able to prove their innocence and come home.
He's got a lot proving his innocence. He's got even different. There were police reports that someone else had confessed to the crime and everything, and none of it was brought into court. Because one other thing that needs to change is prosecutors see it all as it's all about the win. It's not about truth, and it's not about justice.
That's true, what you just said. Oh, good. You can bring it on now.
Yeah.
Okay, can we, okay, my mother stayed there throughout my whole bit. My dad just died, but she's in the 90s. They were very disrespectful, especially to my dad because he served in politics. He was a prosecutor. course, he left, you know, due to how corrupt the system was. He sat in the Senate. So he only actually he got appointed to the Senate, didn't run for that was on the point of it.
Hey. Hey, I'm doing a live video with the girls upstairs. You want me to call back in 30 minutes?
Well, there you go. You can go there.
Okay,
I like
love
it.
you, baby.
I like to embarrass people.
No, he's talking to his mom right now. He's just going on. He was just saying that at Lebanon when they would open the cells up or the doors or whatever and checking the temperatures of the cells, and the guys would be like, it's too hot in here, it's too hot in here. They said that they would open the doors up and wait about 15 minutes and then just put it into like the doorway and check the temperatures of the cells. And he was like, that's not right, it's not an accurate read. You guys have already had doors open 15 minutes and then you guys are just putting in here. Go to the back of the cell and do it, because then you guys will get the accurate temperature.
Right. We'll let her finish, but we're going to be, her fiance is going to call in a little bit. I think we'll do it out here. We'll just do YouTube, then we can do the,
I think she made a great point about the prosecution. When we went up, my husband had his trial. You know, these kids, all 9 of the kids, plus his niece and nephews that he raised when his sister died. He took care of all of them, you know, and our attorney was like, well, the first attorney was like, who is your prosecutor? And we was like, well, this is it. And they were like, oh, she's not good. Like, she's so corrupt. Like, she plays a dirty game. And I mean, and I can almost guarantee that it's not only her. There's so many prosecutors out there that are the same way, that are just out there to get another number under their belt.
Shane's prosecutor was also the prosecutor for Clarence Elkins.
I don't know who that is.
I know Clarence very well. He proved his innocence and got
2005.
released. He was married,
Wow.
I'm not going to say on here, but married to a friend of mine that was a chairperson for Ohioans Against Executions. Real nice lady. But it took years to prove his innocence.
Have they investigated her by any chance, or like looked into the
She's a judge now.
Are you kidding
She
me?
is a Portage County judge, and
Where's
she was
Portage
also
County at?
just in April of this year publicly reprimanded for a drunk driving charge.
Oh, that's the one, because that was in Columbus.
Rebecca Doherty.
Yes.
Wow.
But is Portage by you?
Not by me, but it's near.
Oh.
Shane was convicted out of Summit County.
Oh, yeah.
Can you send me the video?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Videos like that we need to publicize.
Right.
And I need to get everybody eventually on our podcast, which I'm going to have Candace, and maybe if you want to do some of the podcasts, you can too. I don't like doing it myself. You have to be a person that doesn't forget what he's saying. You know, and sometimes my memory, ever since my stroke, I think one thing, then I go right back to the same thing after I talk, and then it's just back and forth. So I even argue with myself. That's getting bad. Okay, your husband got life without parole. He obviously took it to the box, correct?
Yep.
Is there anything in the works now, or what does he need actually to assist him?
Well, currently we've applied for the newer conviction review unit out of his county, and we're trying to work with other groups that can prove innocence, because he was in the house but wasn't present with everyone when any of the crimes was committed. Okay.
Have you talked to Mark Gotze or Jennifer from the Innocence Project in Ohio?
Shane had applied for the Innocence Project quite a few years back and was turned down.
Let me see if I can set up a meeting for you and Danny Poe.
There's no DNA in the case.
But they have a
Yeah,
non-DNA
They
section.
do.
They just started
They told
it.
him that he was put down because there was no DNA.
2 years ago, they opened up the non-DNA section.
We wrote, when Rocco was convicted, we wrote the Innocence Project, and they said that we had to exhaust all of the appeal process first, and they would hold his file. So I know, and there was absolutely no DNA in Rocco's case either.
Well, I think part of what they do is they look at the easiest cases. Because every year they get new students, so then you have to start all over with the case, and it keeps going. Then they come back and say, oh, we can't take the case 2 years later, when they have everybody's hope on. But I would contact them about the non-DNA section.
Okay.
Ask for Jennifer. She's the assistant law professor and the assistant director of the Ohio Municipal President. But I might be able to set up a meeting for both of them because really they take over 100 cases a year, and they win about let's see, they themselves won like 5 last year, and I don't know how the other people that got out.
I have a couple exonerees on my page.
Ray Tower was one.
Yeah,
I was locked up with
Ray.
him.
But there's another one out of, I think it's close by Cleveland. He just did a.
Alexander.
No.
We, if we could even network with some of these people that got exonerated, and pick their brains on, what
Right.
they did, or because maybe we could learn something from them. That's why at our conference, and I hope you can join us. It's November 21st. We had to move back, and we may have to move back to spring depending on COVID-19. But it's a wrongful conviction conference. But we're gonna have tables there and some reentry people there, I'm sure, from different counties. But we need to get an exoneree to speak. And I tried to get Ray Tower to speak. I was locked up with him at Grafton. He did 32 years and told everybody he was innocent. And I was the first one that didn't believe it. Just because his story changed. But then, they proved his innocence, and I think it was actually through DNA. And DNA was not used back in the 80s.
And the crazy thing is when there's cases that have no DNA, and you're sitting there struggling. I don't know if you've been through it, but I've been through a lot of lawyers that have been like, well, these are just small things. How is perjury something small? How is, getting on the stand and saying this never happened, but then in the paperwork it says something completely different? How is those things something that is so small that doesn't make a difference? Those things make a difference. And I think once you get into the Innocence Project, that's when they say, you know what, lay it all on the table, let's go through it, let's pick through it, let's see if this is right, let's see if this is wrong. What could this do to make a difference? And an attorney, no matter how much money you're giving them, they're not willing to do that. And, I've always said, if somebody could just let me put everything on the table and show them, because I have binders of all the perjury that I was able to find. I have another binder of, just different things, of recants and, recordings of different things that, people have already come forward, or messages that, there's just so much things I have in different binders. And then the attorneys will, we paid them thousands and thousands of dollars, and we just went into debt.
And it's been, and your family really did a lot, and I'm sure you have too. But share a little bit about, getting the attorney they have now. What all had to happen.
Well, we went through when the case first started. My husband had an attorney that he was like, with his other charges, he had like B&Es and stuff like that because he had gone to drugs and stuff. But then he got clean, changed his life. But we got his attorney, it was a friend, he was like, don't worry, we'll handle it, just don't talk to, the investigators that came out and investigated. So he's like, listen, a lawyer told me don't talk to him. And I remember sitting at the computer, and I have this letter that I typed up, and it has a date and everything still on it. And I remember him laying there in the bed, and I'm just thinking like, listen, this is serious. This is really serious. You have to start thinking like, what if something's going to really happen? What if we do have to go to court? He's like, listen, I didn't do this shit, this stuff. We're okay. And me, I'm always, I have a bunch of kids, so I'm always thinking ahead. What if? So, they arrested him one night. He called the attorney. We called the attorney. He's like, okay, we'll get on it. Nothing ever happened with that attorney, so we ended up going to hire 2 other attorneys. I don't know if Samuel something.